It's time for Talkin Tauntauns, your Star Wars source at AIPTcomics.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Tauntauns, the official Star Wars podcast for AIPTcomics.com. I am JJ Travers, and I'm joined today, as always, by Nicole Herview and Jim Lehane. We've had a little scheduling silliness recently, so because of that, we're bringing you 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett today. Traditionally, we're trying to keep it 1 episode of Book of Boba Fett, 1 episode of Talkin Tauntauns, but today, you're getting Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine, and Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. Next week, we'll be back to Chapter 4, gets its own episode. But today, you get both, so congratulations. Nicole?
Hi.
I know the answer, but how are you?
I'm having a great day. No, I've had a rough couple of days. Technology hates me. My body hates me, but you know what? I will persevere. It will be fine. Give me a back to tank, and I'll be just fine.
Back to bed?
Yeah.
So, Jim, any new exciting home fix-it projects you've done?
Well, the siding has officially been finished. I paid the final payment to the siding guys, so that is done. And now we're waiting on the contractor to get back from a funeral so that he can start building my daughter's bedroom and moving the stairs around. So right now I'm just playing whack-a-mole with various little projects here and there. Our house is dumb. Like, whoever put the electrical in this house, it's like you'll have outlets, like 2 light switches on a wall, like offset, one like 3 feet higher than the other one, and they turn on different lights in the same room.
I've got a lot of that too, and there was an addition put on to this house at one point, and there's one room where the lighting just makes no sense whatsoever as far as the switches and what outlets and such that they turn on and off. It's really weird, and I still have switches that I don't know what they do.
I've played that game too. Yeah, so right now I'm working in the utility room. I'm ripping out one of the light sets completely and rewiring one of the light sets so that it operates the whole room, because why would you want to turn on the lights and it turns on all of the lights?
I also got a new miter saw, which I'm very excited about. I'm building, none of them, I don't think any of them listen to this podcast, so it should be okay to talk about it here. But my D&D party and I just finished our year-long campaign that started as a official module, and then my DM was like, nah, I'm just going to do my own thing, and he turned it into this crazy, amazing adventure that took us about a year to get through, and it was awesome. So I'm building them all dice towers that fold into dice boxes, so you'll drop it into the tower, and it'll drop right into the box.
Well, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's my first amateur beginner woodworking project, and I'm really excited. So I just got some wood at Home Depot this weekend, some just cheap hobby wood I know I'm going to screw it up a bunch before I get it right. So yeah, that's my project for this weekend while my wife's with her family, so it should be fun.
After this, you can remodel your kitchen. It's like you just figure out one, you go right to the next.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
No, it'll be fun. But you know what else was fun?
This is Master Assassin Fennec Shan. I'm Boba Fett. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine,
Oh,
directed
yes.
by Steph Green. This episode, holy crap, wow. This came out on January 5th. Today is January 13th. Yesterday we had The Streets of Mos Espa, but we're talking about The Tribes of Tatooine to start the show. Wow, talk about a difference in energy between the first episode and the second episode. Things got cranked up to 11. I feel like we started at a very even keel, a very soft, slow, restrained introduction, and then that was entirely gone with this episode. Man, it was so good. This is one of my favorite episodes of Favreau Star Wars TV so far. I loved it.
It was significantly better. Like I would say, if this wasn't a series that he probably wrote all at once, it feels like he fixed issues in the first episode here, because not only is this episode almost twice as long as the first, you have a full story. Like, the first episode felt like it was lacking a conclusion to that episode, whereas this one felt like almost two stories entirely. You had the part in the current time, quote, current time, and then his flashback scenes, and his flashback scene literally took up most of the episode.
Yeah. It was, I'm going to say spoilers before I say this, but it's been a minute since I screamed excitedly names of people and or things at my screen while watching Star Wars, but I screamed, "The Pikes! It's the Pikes!" Like, I screamed the Pikes. Like, I'm alone in this room, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's the Pikes!" And I lost my mind. And I mean, I think I'm gonna say this name right, but Black Chrysanthemum? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think that's roughly right.
I was like,
we both know who you're talking about, and the audience knows who you're talking about.
On Big Boy Wookie, I was just like, well, okay, this show has balls now. Okay. It was cool. It was cool to just see characters I had only seen either on a comics page or in animation come to life. That was pretty incredible. And seeing the Tusken Raiders get a little bit more attention and personification, and just a little bit of, justice. And then we threw that away completely in episode 3, but it was cool to see them have some screen time that wasn't painting them in a negative light, if that makes sense.
Stereotypical, quote, savages is really how they had been depicted since episode 4.
Yep.
And this is maybe the, other than a lot of legend stories kind of delved into the Tuskens, this is really the only thing in canon that we get where we see their side.
Yeah.
And yeah, it quote, humanizes them so that we kind of they become real characters. And yeah, the episode 3 kind of went, yeah, we're done with them.
Yeah, literally they were like, hey, let's pay attention to this indigenous culture that actually matters. Because of course it does, because they're people. And then they were like, never mind, real quick, which is we could talk about that when we're talking about episode 3, but I hated that. But this episode, if we're just talking about this episode, it was kind of really nice to get some redemption, not for the Tusken Raiders, but for the people who write the Tusken Raiders. You know what I mean? It was oh, okay, let's fix this obviously glaringly problematic issue in how we deal with this indigenous population. Let's fix that. And then they didn't. But go on, JJ.
I have a couple of thoughts on this. First, I am a huge sucker for Dances with Wolves, as well as The Last Samurai, and that influence is just glaringly obvious here. But despite that, I'm totally cool with it. It's not a terribly surprising. I think we all saw where the story was headed on the first episode with him and these folks, and we pretty much knew that it was going to work out because of his appearance in The Mandalorian with a gaffy stick. But nonetheless, I still really enjoyed seeing him, come to understand these people are a lot more complicated than I think. They're not these just mindless, brutal, just ruthless people I don't understand. Nomadic tribesmen living out here. They're they have a complicated social structure. They care about their family. They care about their animals. And
they deal with people trying to kill them all the time.
All the time.
Literally, that train had
steal their land. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that train had zero reason to shoot at them. Zero.
They were just they weren't
having
fun with it.
They weren't even there. And all of a sudden, like, the train just, like, I just rewatched the part. They just kind of, they're, what, kilometers away? And all of a sudden, the train just kills the bantha and starts shooting at them. It's like, you weren't even, you were literally provoking this.
Yeah. So, it was nice to see that side of it. And then it was cool to see him earn their respect. And for their perception of him to change, as he's not just some like outsider here to disrespect us and steal what's ours, and that so many other beings have disrespected and stolen. He's both sides' perceptions changed, and they met in the middle, and we saw this super cool like vision quest ritual with the little gecko thing going up his nose and going out into the desert and coming back with his gaffy stick. I thought that was so cool. Like,
it was dope.
We're never going to know the details of any of that, and it doesn't matter. It was just this badass, like, ultimate form of respect and acceptance from the Tuskens for him. And just, like, watching him carve his own gaffy stick, like, man, that was so freaking cool. Like, I loved that. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was fantastic. The whole parts of the episode with the Tuskens were great. And jumping into episode 3 a little bit, it is disappointing to see that they were attacked and a lot of them were taken out. But I'm pretty confident that this is not like the end of the Tuskens and not the last that we've seen of them.
Well, it's not the end of the Tuskens are
all of
huge.
Them. Yeah.
So
this is his one tribe.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And it was
That's
really
what I'm
upsetting
saying
to see these people that we've, kind of grown attached to and he's obviously grown attached to die off screen.
Well,
I'm like, what the hell is going on around here? Like, they weren't even given a dignified death or anything like that. It was as if they didn't matter at all. And I was very I was like, okay, that was one step forward, 2 steps back, but go on. Like,
well, I see 2 sides to that. One, there's only 7 episodes, so they really have to pick and choose what they're giving us here, especially since from how the story's telling, like, these 2 lines are converging. The amount that's happening in the past for what we're seeing in the future, I feel like it needs to stop soon for the rest of the episodes to be dedicated to the present time.
Right.
And then my other take on that is we didn't see the Tusken body that we saw what I perceived to be the leader of the tribe, but we did not see the Tusken that trained him to use a gaffy stick. So I feel like we're gonna see that Tusken alive as a captive, maybe even the kid that he bonded with as well, or perhaps they escaped. It felt super weird to me that they showed the leader's corpse, but not the Tusken that trained him, and that's why I feel confident that this is not the last that we're seeing of them.
Yeah, she is one of the, like, if you look at the credits, the one who trained him she's one of the few Tuskens who actually gets a role on the episode, to Tusken warrior, and it's a woman.
yeah, I was gonna say, I looked that up, and I forgot to write her name down. And my
Joanna
phone's over there.
Bennett. I'm looking at it
Well
right now.
done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. You got my back all the time. Yeah, I thought that was dope. I was like, holy crap. How cool is that?
I never realized it, and then you kind of see people kind of picking up on it online, and I think they confirmed somewhere that, yes, the actress is a woman and the character is also a woman, because it's hard to tell with the outfit, but yeah,
it's super cool. All I could hear in my head is, Hayden Christensen going, not just the men, but the women and the children too. Like, that's all I could hear, because I was like, that's a lot of people who I don't know their gender. But it was like kind of cool to be like, yeah, that badass warrior who's like the coolest person I've seen in the show probably is
she
like,
on the train.
So dope.
Like,
so dope.
She was clearly the best part of a really good episode is when she just goes all out on the train. And it was absolutely fantastic. I love it.
It was
likely
blast.
failed without that character being there. Like Boba Fett and the remaining Tuskens were pinned down and injured. So yeah, definitely a cool character that I am very confident is not going to be killed off screen and never mentioned again. I
freaking
suspect
hope so.
that character is a captive or escaped and is planning some kick-ass revenge. But yeah, the Tuskens, the Vision Quest, the Gaffy Stick, the training them and attacking the train, all of that was fantastic. And then on the other side, in present day, we have now the Pikes are in present and past, and seeing the Pikes was super exciting. I mentioned in Discord how I was a little surprised at the drastic departure from the design. It didn't bother me. It was just a little surprising because we've seen them in Rebels and in Clone Wars, and their faces are a lot more kind of like pinched in and like higher up on like the head, and the masks were a little different, but overall still super cool to see the Pike Syndicate. It makes a lot of sense. They used them previously in Clone Wars and Rebels, and they were also pretty prominent in Solo. So it's cool seeing like them being kind of the heavy-handed, likely antagonists for Boba Fett and his territory, from like what we've seen with them and the Tuskens, and him in present day with as we're catching up to present day with his like negotiations with that between the gang. I forget their name. Do you guys remember?
Oh, the
biker gang.
I don't think we've gotten.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten the name.
The Pike named them because he said,
Yeah, he
another
did.
group has taken your protection money, and he
Yeah,
named them the bikers.
I don't know, those jerks. Yeah.
Either
those
way,
ones.
super cool to see the Pikes. And I'm just gonna call him Black K, so there's no mispronouncing his name.
I'm pretty sure it's Chrysanthemum because
It's Chrysanthemum. They named
was
him in
like,
the next
yeah,
episode, in the third episode.
Fennec said it like 3 times, and I was like, remember how you say that freaking name? And I keep remembering it sounds like Chrysanthemum. And I'm like, that's...
And it's exactly the same. He's a black chrysanthemum.
Yeah. It's so weird because he's so scary and so big, and I'm like, I just want to hug that boy. Like, he's just, I love him so much. He's such a big, scary dick. But yeah, Black Chrysanthemum. Go
like
on,
how,
JJ.
how cool is this for Kieran Gillen? Like,
Right?
seeing this character that he created in, first it was Darth Vader, and then carrying him over to Dr. Aphra's comic book, and now he's in live action, and they nailed it. Like, him walking out for the first time was just so huge and intimidating and tough and scary. It was just like one of the coolest debuts for a comic book character that they just absolutely nailed.
They I was actually wondering because they never named him in the second episode, and so I was wondering if they were ever going to name him or if it was just kind of an Easter egg for those who knew. And then obviously in the third episode he definitely got name dropped, although he seems to they've dropped the black and it's just chrysanthemum.
He's a big flower. Yeah.
So yeah, but he was super awesome because his design is so iconic that anybody who knows who it is instantly knows who it was.
Yeah, I was in awe. I was losing it. I was like, it's the big boy. I was just screaming at my television. I was so excited. It was just, yeah, very well done.
It was a Leo
He
meme
so
moment.
Scary. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Pointing
I'm doing it.
the
but
pointing.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
Ooh, I know him. Yeah, man, I'm so excited for him to have more to do in the Star Wars universe because he's coming back. They didn't just use him for that one moment and sent him off on he's coming back. We know that. Come on, there's going to be merch. Like, he's going to be huge because the internet went bananas for him. So he'll be back, if
Dude,
not
what
later
about
in
the,
the season, but...
What about the brass knucks that he was using, like the stun?
We're not on episode 3 yet.
Oh, we're talking about the character.
But so cool, though. Yes, awesome.
And you know what? If we see him, this gives me hopes that we could see another character that he's very familiar with.
Dr. Aphra.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Which would
That'd
just
be
blow
dope.
my mind.
Bring Dr. Aphra into this.
This
Holy
is like the
crap.
perfect place for her to be. It's like scum and villainy everywhere. But yeah, man, they nailed this character. I'm super happy for Kieran Gillen. The fight scene with him and Boba Fett and his new little like biker gang and the
I
Gamorrean
hate
guards.
his biker gang.
I love it. I know it's ridiculous and doesn't belong in Star Wars. I don't care. I love it. I was like, this is for me. It's absurd. That biker gang is stupid and I love it. That's all I can say.
That was jumping over there. That was the slowest biker chase ever. I'm like, are people gonna like walk by them? Like, I thought we were supposed to be like super high speed sort of thing, and they just look like they're like, got little Vespas and kind of moseying along the street.
Yeah, but JJ, what were you gonna say about that fight between them and Chrysanthemum and
I
Boba?
just thought it was great. Like the dude just got stabbed, he got electrocuted, he got whipped, and he was just like. He got hit in the back, so he got
the gaffy stick was sticking out of him.
Yeah, the gaffy stick was sticking out of him. The female biker just shoved a blade into his side. The Gamorrean guard slashed him in the back. He had a gaffy stick. He got electrocuted with the whip, and the dude's just runs, tackles 2 Gamorrean guards down the stairs. Like he's just like, I don't care. Like,
didn't he bite one of them? He's like,
me.
I'm going for it.
Did.
I'm a bite the crap out of this
did.
boy. I was like, wow.
My favorite part was at the end when they set him free and he jogs off like he's about to like join the football game. He's like, run onto the field, and he's just like has this little jog.
A carefree little jog. He's like, all right, I'm going to go this way. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going that way. He just, very funny.
But just rewinding a little bit to talk about the Tuskens again in episode 2, there is something notable here that they've reintroduced to canon that probably isn't going to be talked about a lot because it's not that big of a deal, but I just think it's really cool. That Tatooine used to be covered in water. There was in Legends like this huge story about like how the Jawas came to be and how the Tuskens came to be, and how the water on Tatooine got wiped out. And I think it's cool that they've made that official again. What I'm curious is if they're ever gonna, and I don't know if this show would be too much, but I'm curious if they're going to decide if the Tuskens are actually humans, like humanoids, or if they're different, evolved much differently like they did in Legends. They might just skip over it completely.
They might.
Yeah, in Legends, the Tuskens and the Jawas were the same species, and they split.
Yeah,
neither of them
evolved.
were human.
Yeah.
But
I'm curious. And the train scene, we had them in following that we had him like speaking with the chief in the tent, and then he had his vision quest and get his gaffy stick. It's hard to think after all that we won't get more on them. So I think this show has done a really cool job of raising, you said it at the beginning of the episode, Nicole, like it's raised the Tuskens up and given them a lot more respect as characters and as a group of people in this show. It's enriched their culture so much, and I just want to know more. Like,
yeah, I do too. I wanted that to last a lot longer than it did. Excuse me. But yeah, I don't see a world in which that doesn't become relevant, like directly relevant later in the series. Whether that alliance between Boba and the Tuskens like comes into play directly, or if it's just that one character, or what, they're coming back. They have to. It's just, I'm getting tired of watching Tuskens get slaughtered. But yeah, I'm hoping that this still does some good and adds a little bit more to their culture within the Star Wars universe, because it was really fun to watch and really interesting. And yeah, overdue for them to kind of get that, We know so much about every other people, for the most part, in Star Wars, and the Tuskens are just Tuskens. Not anymore, thank goodness, but once everything that we knew in Legends went away, it was like, okay, then what are they? Who are they? At least to me. And now it's, okay, they're a little bit more fleshed out, and I appreciate that. But yeah, they got to be coming back.
As regarding the water thing, Melissa Miller and James Floyd, who were on the science episode we did a while ago, and they have their Star Warsologies podcast. We've been texting back and forth, and she's like, "Did you guys watch it?" And it's like, because I was on their show talking about Tatooine, and we mentioned that there had to be water at some point. They have caves, and so we've been discussing that frequently. It's like that's the geek in me got livened up. It's like water on a desert planet.
Yeah.
So there, besides Black Chrysanthemum, there were 3 other kind of hidden like Easter eggs of characters. 2 definite. One is a guess. Do you guys know who they were?
I do not.
So in the bar, there was the human couple, and they are Cammy and Fixer. If you've ever watched the A New Hope deleted scenes, where did Luke want to go?
Oh, right. Tashi Station.
He wanted to go to Tashi Station. That was Tashi Station.
That's
and his
right.
friends there were Cammy and Fixer.
And you can watch that on YouTube, I think, still.
Yeah, and if you read the Last Jedi novelization by Jason Fry, Luke has kind of a vision where what if he didn't go with Obi-Wan? And in the vision, he marries Cammy.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, Cammy is this like background character who never was on screen, but if you know like the background material, like she is like one of those from the original A New Hope. And then
That's awesome.
the last one is super obscure. I didn't catch it. I'm friends with one of the official Star Wars artists, Chris Travas. He's the one who pointed it out, and I think he's right. The thing that the Hutt, one of the twins, wipes his face with.
Oh, when he's sponging the sweat?
Yes. He thinks that it's a hujib, which if you read the original Marvel comics, there's a series, there's a storyline within it called The Planet of the Hujibs, where one of the characters is Pliff, and it has 6 legs, little antenna, and that's what the Hutt is using to kind of sponge his face with, is this little like hujib character.
That's bananas. Yeah, I the only thing I noticed was in episode 3, our mechanic lady friend from The Mandalorian was hanging out, but that's it. With her little pit droids.
Oh, I didn't see her. I saw the pit droids running around.
So as Boba's going into town on the Bantha, I think to talk to the Pikes, like she's in the background, like walking with her pit droids, and yeah, I was like, hey, I know her. And that was it. They like linger on her for like a hot second.
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Yeah.
That's in episode 3 when he's meeting with the Pikes.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Cool.
But that's what I noticed. But
speaking of riding on the Bantha, laugh out loud moment when he is training the Tuskens to ride the speeder bikes.
Yes.
And he's like, it's just like riding a Bantha. And he does this like weird motion on the bike. I saw somebody turn that into a GIF. And I'm like, yeah.
It's like a Boba Fett dancing thing now. It's just him like on the... I was like, this man's funny. This man really... He's hysterical.
The face he gives is hysterical.
If you ever seen some interviews with him, when he's just allowed to do whatever he wants, he's hilarious. He is a genuinely like funny comedic guy. So I love that he's kind of leaning into that a little bit here and was able to like have Boba Fett be funny, which is, you know, I always said, not always, but since the episode aired of The Mandalorian that he was in.
I've always said the last 2 weeks. Oh.
Yeah. Well, when he was in The Mandalorian, he was, you know, saying, oh, the Empire might recognize my face. That was the funniest line in Star Wars ever. And he just, like, keeps getting to be funny, and it makes me so happy.
So, we mentioned 2 characters briefly. And they're introduced in episode 2, and we see them again in episode 3. What do you guys think about the twins?
There's something else. Are they in anything else?
No.
Or
I
are
looked
they
them up.
completely new, right?
Completely new.
They're creepy as hell to me, but that might be me.
I am astounded with the animation or whatever. I don't know if they are physical effects or if they're CGI or what they are, but they are perfect. Like, this is not special edition DVD Jabba the Hutt. These are like Return of the Jedi Jabba the Hutt. They are, if they are not real, they sure look it, and their voices are like spot on.
Their voices are great, and just the people carrying them, like struggling with.
I
like,
love that.
We got 2 big freaking huts on a plank, and I gotta hold it up. And even though there's like 15, 20 people holding them up, they're all suffering, and it's just like, my God, this is so weird and so uncomfortable, but really like based in realism, you know, like how else do the huts, I mean, I know the huts walk around and shit, but like they wouldn't though, you know, like these 2 would, they'd be like, no, carry me. Like, it's just right. It's correct. That's what I'll say about it. It's just correct.
I do like the running joke where every time Boba goes into town, they're like, "Oh, we didn't know you were here. I didn't see your what do they call it? The DS that they carry him around."
Entourage or
No,
Party-
the actual like platform.
Yeah, the thing.
oh, like
I
the
didn't see the thing.
Pelican or something like that.
Something.
They're like, or maybe the litter. They're like, "Oh, we didn't see your litter being carried, so we didn't know you were here."
That's what it is.
As they keep doing it, they've did it at least 3 or 4 times now. And it's funny every time. He's like, "Oh my word, I can walk."
Yeah. Like, bro, I'm gonna carry myself.
Yeah.
How about that?
So moving on to episode 3, we have the heck's it called? Oh, the Streets of Mos Espa. So let's get it out of the way right off the bat. We have the Watermonger, Stephen Root, who's awesome playing Lortha Peel. I love Stephen Root. I feel like people put him in a box too much with his Office Space appearance. He's a really good actor.
Him. Okay, I thought it was him.
He's a really good actor who has done a lot of great stuff. And he already seems like a huge, like, D-bag slime ball. I love it. But what people don't love about this Robert Rodriguez directed episode is the cyborg biker gang.
I love them. I don't care. They're ridiculous. I adore it. It's my steampunk, like, daydream. I live. It's absurd. It's stupid as hell. I love it. I don't care. I don't, like, sometimes you just gotta enjoy what scratches the itch in the back of your brain, and this does it for me, and I don't care that it's wrong. I don't care that it doesn't fit with anything else. I don't care. You know? I just don't. Go ahead, rip it apart. I'll shut up.
I actually have no problems with the characters, the fact that they're cyborgs, nothing. I hate their bikes. I hate their bikes.
Sure.
I hate their bikes. I hate that the high-speed chase was at walking pace. I hate the look of their bikes. But the characters themselves, I have no problems with them. I thought they were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. They're like throwaway characters that you can kill off some of them, and like you have now characters to kill. Because if you killed a Gamorrean, you only had 2, and you're not going to kill Fennec Shand. So it's now you have characters on his team that you can kind of get rid of as you need to.
I want that girl's vest. I'd wear that in real life. I want her vest. I don't know her name. I don't care. I like her haircut. I want her vest. But yeah, the bikes are loud. Like, they're so colorful. It's interesting because I feel like if you put those bikes on like any other planet, like I'm trying to think of one, but if you put it on like Coruscant, yeah, they wouldn't be as ridiculous. But the fact that they're on Tatooine is like, oh wow, that's bright, because everything else is just white, beige, and more beige or brown. Like, there's no color in this place. So when you're like, hey, color, it looks ridiculous. But if you put them on Coruscant, I don't think they'd be outlandish as they feel. So as much as I'm joking about it, I don't think they're as bananas as people are saying they are. But I get what the instinct is. Like, I get that. But at the same time, I'm like, no, this feels about right. But that's me.
I just feel like Jon Favreau and Robert Rodriguez were just like, we want to put in an American Graffiti tribute to George Lucas, and here it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they weren't subtle about it. I mean, on one hand, I do like that Fett is building this, like, misfit army for himself to, like, slowly take over Mos Espa. But on the other hand, the bikes are just, like, they have no place there. It just makes no sense. They would be a huge target for, like, everyone to vandalize or steal or give these people trouble. And, like, yeah, they're a little gang, but there's, like, so many other forces. It just doesn't make sense why an out-of-work biker gang is riding those bikes on Tatooine. It makes sense to see the biker gang from episode... was it 1 or 2 that Boba Fett beat up?
It was 2. Yep.
Yeah, so we'll talk about them again in a minute. But, yeah, that's the type of biker gang that makes sense in this setting. It just sticks out like a sore thumb.
It does, yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Right. It's not like that would never exist in Star Wars. I can't believe you did that. It's more like, what the hell is that doing on Tatooine? And how'd they get them? That's how I feel about it. But I am sometimes, if I like a thing, willing to be like, you know what? It's wrong. And I don't care. Like, it's silly. Of course it's silly. Do I love it? Yeah. Yeah,
it's Star Wars.
It's exactly. It's Star Wars. It's going to be silly sometimes. And I'm willing to let some things go if they're fun. And this to me was fun. So, yeah.
So, speaking of, we mentioned the fight earlier. I wanted to mention the introduction of Black Chrysanthemum on this episode was the best. Like we had him on episode 2, but his introduction on this episode was the best introduction after we see him on 2.
So cool.
Is when he, like, this is the first time Boba Fett's dreams have gotten interrupted and literally rips him out of the Bacta tank. I'm like, okay, that was cool. Because we've had the setup of all the dreams for all this time, and never have they been, like, cut short like that.
Yeah, it was jarring in the best way. It was a really good second intro, I guess. But, like, really all he did in episode 2 was look scary as hell and move on with his life, which, cool, good enough for me. But this was actually like, okay, let's see him in action now, let's go. And this was the best way to do it, to take us completely by surprise and take Boba Fett by surprise. And it's like, oh, now he's fighting in his underwear, isn't that fun? And, like, it was just ridiculously cool to watch. It was, oh my goodness gracious.
So, God, what is the gang name? Let me see.
I found it. I was looking for it while you guys were talking.
Go on.
Kintan Striders.
Okay.
Okay.
So he beats
Because
up.
that makes sense.
Striders.
So he beats up the Kintan Striders in the bar. And we first saw them tagging their symbol outside Tashi Station at the bar.
Can I make a note that their symbol looks like my initials?
It
looks like a JL.
Yeah, it actually really does.
Immediately when I
does.
saw that, because that's how I used to, similar trying to figure out how to make my initials look cool. I'm like, hey, they made my initials look cool.
They did it.
So, yeah, Boba Fett beats them up, and then after he's finally helped the Tuskens overcome the Pikes, and they're basically extorting the Pikes for protection money to
Of
travel
which the
through.
Pikes don't care. They're like, yeah, we understand, we'll pay, but only one.
Yeah, we're only going to pay one of you, so you guys figure it out.
So, and that to me makes total sense because they're a galaxy-wide crime syndicate that operates in like the armpits of the galaxy, and they're scumbags. Like, to me, that's something that they would, that you're speaking their language with that. That's like how you do business. That makes sense to me. And, you know, Fett talks to them, and they're like, well, the Kintan Striders are saying that that's their territory. You got to work it with them. And then they tagged their symbol on, you know, the Tusken tents to say, like, we did this. Okay. And I'm looking forward to him just, like, totally murdering all of them. That's going to be great. And the other thing with the Pikes in the third episode is we see them arriving on planet to take over, and, like, Boba's preparing for war. But I was thinking about this more and more, and it just seems, like, way too obvious to me. Like, the Pikes don't seem subtle. They drive this huge, ridiculous train through the desert, shooting off lasers at the Tuskens with like no provoking coming from the Tuskens whatsoever. They very openly talk about their business with the Kintan Striders. And then, like, you know, coming back to the present timeline, we have Fett dealing with this, like, is it the mayor? Is it the twins? Is it now the Pikes? And it looks like it could be the Pikes because they're arriving in force. But that just doesn't seem like their style to me. So I was like thinking about it more and more. And the mayor, what the heck's the mayor's name?
You mean the assassins, right?
Sorry?
Are you talking about the assassins?
In what
like
context?
From episode, like, who sent them?
Yes. So,
okay, thank you.
And who ultimately is trying to, like, get rid of him and kill him.
Yeah.
And control his territory. So, like, Matthew Berry's character, I forget the droid's name, was showing the map.
EDE?
Sure.
Something like that.
The droid guy.
And, you know, like, I was thinking about it. Like, we've heard from the mayor, whose name I don't remember in this moment, the Ithorian with the voice box.
So, his name is really close to the McDonald's character Mayor McCheese, and that's all I can think of now when you ask me for his name.
Oh, Mock Shays?
See?
Yeah.
It's Mayor McCheese.
Yeah.
Mock Shays, Mayor McCheese.
Yeah, so we have the Twilight Majordomo
So you've got
and
Black
him.
Chrysanthemum. I'm sorry, JJ. Black Chrysanthemum and Mayor McCheese. As you were, JJ. Go on.
So anyways, I've finally come to what I think is actually going on here. We heard the mayor make a point to talk about how valuable information is, and the place that we've seen the most information going through and the least amount of conflict is Sanctuary, the cantina in Mos Espa, run by Jennifer Beals' character Garsa Fwip. I think Garsa Fwip is behind all of this and running everything on the down low. I think she sent the assassins. I think she is trying to run all of this territory with the guise of, who, me? I'm just a simple, like, bar owner. That is my theory.
You definitely don't get Jennifer Beal and not have her, like, she just keeps playing, like, random, almost background character, but I can see, like, it's Jennifer Beal. Like she's
I think
gonna,
you're right.
Yeah, I like that idea. I had not thought of that before.
She's important. You know, she has to be. She's had 2 scenes, but she's important. You know she is. Like, you know that she is. She's controlling a lot more than she wants you to know she is. So, yeah, I think you're right, JJ.
And she's the only character that gave him no trouble. She was like, come on in. Here's your tribute. Whatever you need right away. And I just feel like that's, like, totally...
Do you want your Gamorreans to be sponged?
Like, just, like, totally disarming if you're trying to, like, fool somebody and make them not suspect you. Like, that's the perfect way to do it. And that's why I'm so convinced now that she is actually the mastermind behind, like, manipulating all of these parties as this, like, power broker in the shadows. If I'm wrong, whatever, but I think that would be really cool if that's where they're ultimately going with it.
I think so, because the look that she gives Boba Fett when he walks in the second time, the look from the trailer, you know, like, it's a lot more than, oh crap, he doesn't know that, you know, the twins are here. It's more than that. That look of, oh damn, he's here, is more than what she lets up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a look you give when it's like, oh crap, he doesn't know a thing I know. It's a little more nefarious than that.
Yeah.
At least I think so.
So, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. But either way, like, if it ends up just being like a crime syndicate war between House Fett and House Pike, with, you know, the Fetts the Hutts trying to like cause mischief and the mayor manipulating, like, that's cool too. But I think we're gonna see like some intrigue here that goes deeper than people are thinking.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the mayor. Ithorians are one of my favorite species.
So cool.
Even more than Max Rebo. I love Max Rebo, who also was confirmed by Pablo Hidalgo that Max Rebo probably still only has two limbs. Because in the original Return of the Jedi, that was his feet he was playing with.
Yeah, he's playing with his feet. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love the mayor. I love that he's fuzzy.
Yeah.
And I love that we have a Rancor being taken care of by Danny Trejo.
I was going to bring that up next. That is a gem. That's a gem. I love that. I love where this is going. I love some more, Rancor lore. I don't know where any of that came from, but I love it. And I love that he's like, I love my daddy Boba Fett. This little baby Rancor is like, I adore this little baby man who I'm going to have ride on my back. Like, it's phenomenal. It's so exciting to me that we have this adorable, like, it's like Boba Fett is just collecting all of the people and creatures that have a bad rap in Star Wars, and he's like, you come with me. And like, that's it. That's what he's doing. And I love it. I love it. I really, the Rancor scenes got me in a way that, like, and even in I think it was the first or second episode, they blur together for me because the first episode was so nothing. Who is it that they put in the Rancor cavern?
That's the assassin.
Right, and he's freaking out.
Well,
and
two people
they're
down there, right?
Right. Well,
he
they
did
put
Black
Chrysanthemum down there, but at the moment when Fennec Shand is like, "There's nothing down there, you freaking idiot!" It like made me laugh.
Worst
so
assassin
hard.
ever. He's
It
like, I'll
was-
tell you everything. Although,
just let
like,
me up.
yeah, he was clearly
There's no
lying.
Rancor, you stupid ass. Like, It's just ridiculous. So yeah, bananas. But I love the Rancor so much. And Danny Trejo. Hi, like, what the heck?
I kept waiting for the Rancor scene, the turn, when he's like, here, stand in front of him. And I'm like, is he really going to imprint, or are we just getting it set up for the Rancor to attack Boba Fett? And it didn't turn, which made it even better. Like, it was one of those, like, you're expecting the worst and you didn't get the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. The baby Rancor. And as you said, they're not just mindless killing machines. Like, there's a lot more to them. And here's Danny Trejo to tell you all about it.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, yeah, it's Danny Trejo, but I don't care. I'm still going to, like, accept his character for whoever he is. And it's a Rancor trainer in this instance. And I'm totally fine with that because he's just, like, such a likable guy. And the story that they give you, it's like, who doesn't want a baby Rancor that's going to imprint on them and protect and love them? Like, and they're foreshadowing to Boba Fett eventually riding it into battle. Like, hell yeah.
You're right. The character Danny Trejo was the Danny Trejo's character. Like, he is him. There is no character.
There's no acting. No, he's just, I'm here. I'm in Star Wars now. What are you going to do about it? Like, that's what it is, and I'm okay with it. But yeah.
He has such a presence that it works. It's kind of like Samuel L. Jackson, where Mace Windu really was just Samuel L. Jackson. And like Danny Trejo has that presence too, that it just he works as himself.
Yeah, he could just be there. It's fine. I had someone say something to me recently, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it, because I'm sure you know what my response was. But someone said to me that they're not sure how they feel about this show so far, because Boba Fett's too nice.
I've seen that online.
How would we... I'll go after you guys, because I'm sure what I'm going to say is predictable as hell. So I'm going to let you guys go first.
So, Boba Fett was never, like, evil, in my opinion. He was never, like, this dastardly, horrible character. He was someone who was shaped by early childhood trauma and grew up in, like, the worst part of the galaxy, looking out for himself with this, like, heavy legacy on his shoulders that he felt he had to live up to. And he worked as a bounty hunter. And, like, we've seen Afra do a lot of really horrible things. It doesn't make her character evil. Like, I'd say she's more morally gray than anything. But I kind of see it in the same vein. Like, he's done what he has had to do to survive. And I think the experience of escaping Sarlacc, combined with the Tuskens, like, that's going to change your perspective on a lot of things. Like, you almost got digested alive, and then you had this crazy, like, life-changing experience with these people out in the middle of the desert. I feel like that's a really good reason to have a character change their values and what how they want to portray themselves and what their goals are. And all these people are like, oh, he's not the same. It's like, would you be the same after that? And he's also never been that evil. So I don't have a problem with it at all that he's, like, wanting to live a more, like, respect and honor driven life. And he's still, like, taking tribute from people for, like, ruling over them. It's not like he's this, like, happy-go-lucky, super friendly, lovable dude. Like, he's still a hard ass that's, like, ruling over, like, people and, like, pretty much a criminal empire here that he's, like, trying to, like, build out and extend. So yeah, I don't have any problem with it whatsoever. I think people this is another fantastic instance of people being like, change in Star Wars? Oh, okay, I'm gonna react totally reasonably to that and, like, be a little patient with it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you got to look at it.
Note the heavy sarcasm in my voice.
Yeah, yes.
Well, you got to look at it. Like, how much do we know about Boba Fett? We've seen him as a kid, 10 years old, episode 2. I am not the same person as I was when I was 10 years old. Yeah. I am far from that person. We've seen him in the Clone Wars, so you're looking at 11, 12. We never saw him again until A New Hope. Like, he is in nothing. He's a little bit of the comics in that time period, very briefly, but he's a businessman. He's a bounty hunter because his father was a bounty hunter, which his father was also not really that bad a guy. And, like, he's a businessman. So you have the business Boba, going through that time. And you're right, JJ. You got eaten by the Sarlacc and you fought your way out, but you are dead. You are dead to the galaxy. Nobody knows that you are around anymore. And you are kind of living off the grid for 4 years. Theoretically, if he is with the Tuskens until the time of The Mandalorian, that is 5 years. That is a 5-year gap between Return of the Jedi and The Mandalorian. So you have time in there where he is literally changing as a person. And so I have no problem. This coming from a guy who has a Mandalorian tattoo on my back. Like, this is... I love Boba. I've always loved Boba, and I still love Boba.
Yeah. I agree with everything you guys just said. My response was, listen, what we know of adult Boba Fett is 4 lines of dialogue and a death scene. Like, if we're just talking about the movies. There's comics, there's a bunch of other, but what you know about Boba Fett is 4 lines of dialogue and a death scene. That's it. And he was at work the whole time. Like, he was working. And his work is killing people. So, yeah, he's going to be
not even killing people. His job is to capture people.
Right. That is, but I was responding to this person. It was like, he was so, like, upset that he couldn't use disintegration. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably fun for him. Like, what? Okay. But that doesn't mean he's a one-dimensional person. Like, you know nothing about him. And now we're just learning that he's more complex and nuanced than you originally thought. And because he's not this, like, beacon of toxic masculinity and has emotions and feelings and empathy for people, you're upset. And I want you to think about that. I was like, I really want you to think about that. He can be a badass and not a douchebag at the same time. You could do that.
You know, he disintegrated one person one time. It was an accident, and now people keep bringing it up. It's like Darth Vader, no disintegrations. It was one time. Get over it, okay?
He doesn't even fight it that bad. He's just like, as you wish. And he's like a little dejected. And you're like, yeah, all right. That dude wanted to use his dope disintegrating weapon. Okay. Like, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I'm like, he's still a badass. Like, he's still an incredible fighter. He's still doing all of those things you said you liked about him. He's just not doing it all the time. Because that'd be exhausting, wouldn't it? If, like, he was one-dimensional, we'd be complaining that he was one-dimensional. So, yeah, bring in a bunch of other aspects to him. The fact that he's like, I want to lead with respect is so cool to me. Like, that's so much cooler than I'm just gonna kill everybody. Like, to me, that's dope. That he's like, yeah, you're gonna respect me and screw you. That's it. I love that. I think that's so much cooler. But I don't know. I heard the fan base referred to as the fandom menace, and I was like, that's my new favorite. So I knew that the fandom menace was gonna come for that, but
yeah, the internet is just the worst, and people are just so wildly impatient, and yeah, it's not worth getting into. But it's like the first episode. Everyone was like, worst series ever. It's going to be the worst. And then the second episode came out and everyone was like, this is amazing. And now the third episode's out and people are kind of in the middle on both sides. It's like, yeah, I'm glad I don't look to see what Star Wars opinions fans of this show are on the internet. I talk to my friends about it in Discord or with you guys, and that's it. By the way, internet fans, thanks for listening to our show.
Yeah, hey, thanks.
Quick note: do you guys know who plays the Pike boss?
No, who is that?
Phil Lamar. Who, for people who don't know, Phil Lamar is a huge voice actor, and like anybody seen Futurama, that's where I know him mainly from. He plays Hermes in Futurama, but his repertoire is absolutely ginormous, and I really enjoy hearing him. I didn't even realize it was him till I like to check out the credits now that somebody pointed out. Cammy and Fixer were listed in the credits, and so now I look to see if anybody I missed comes up on there, and I'm like, oh, it's Phil Lamar.
That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on in the show, and I still maintain that it is hard to judge it as a whole when we don't know where it's going and we're not even halfway done with it. But so far, I'm enjoying it, and I think that's enough so far. Once we have a finale to speak of and speak to, the rest of the show will make more sense. But yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, I like basically with the Mandalorian, especially Mandalorian season 2, it got to be very formulaic, and that I really do have an issue when it becomes formulaic. The Bad Batch became formulaic, and I don't like it when the storylines do that. So far here, we have each episode has been fresh, even disregarding my criticisms of episode 1. Episode 1 is still significantly different than 2 and 3, and 2 and 3 have been different from each other, and they've been very enjoyable. So I am all in. I'm super having fun with this. I'm loving it. I'm loving that the fan base is loving it. I'm going to assume everyone is loving it, regardless of what the fan base actually feels.
Yeah, we're only 3 episodes in, and I'm having a great time. And
we're almost halfway done, though. If this is 7,
Yeah, that's true. And you know, after every episode, I have a lot of questions, a lot of theories, which is fun. I'm not bored. I'm invested. There's a lot going on. I don't know where so many things are going to go, but I have ideas, and that's a fun way to feel after watching a series. And we're getting more lore about Boba Fett and the criminal underworld of the Outer Rim and Tatooine, so that in itself is super cool. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes and what next week brings us. I'm hoping a potentially favorite Tusken character who's not so dead after all, but we'll see. So we're going to get out of here, guys. We hope you enjoyed today's double episode here. We'll be back next week with Chapter 4 for you. In the meantime, if you'd like to hang out with us and talk about Star Wars, come hang out with us on our Discord. You can get access through Patreon, patreon.com/AIPTcomics. It's only $2 a month. You can come hang out. You also get access to our Star Wars Club, where we talk about movies and TV shows and books and comics, and our comic book club as well, which is a separate thing all about different comics. There's some other tiers on there, but yeah, $2 gets you everything I just talked about. You can also support us by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. It takes 2 seconds, helps the show out a ton. We appreciate it a lot. You can find us on Twitter at Talkin Tauntauns, and of course more Star Wars content on AIPTcomics.com. So that is going to do it. We're going to get out of here, and we'll see you next time.